So we'll start assembly. Just check that everything's all clear and in good condition. I think we're fine on that. Just want to check the actual condition of the cylinder, because if that's all scored or rusted or whatever, then even with a new seal, obviously it will still leak. I think we're okay with that. And there is slight scoring there, but not enough, I think, to worry about. So then, yeah, I'm going to put some lube on things. So I'm going. The first thing we're going to do. We've got this strange seal at the end that goes in the end of the spring. Okay, so that just pushes in to the end of the spring. Okay, brake fluid on everything. That goes in the spring, followed by the cap. Just got to make sure it goes in, but there we go, without sort of creasing the seal. Pushes against the end of the spring. And then this washer, not sure what it's for, but you need it. There we go. And then we've got the actual piston itself. Okay, so a very tricky bit I've got now. I've got the piston, which goes in, but then that is pushed down against that spring is quite resistant. I've got to push that spring in, push the piston against the spring rather, push the piston down against the spring, get it inside, and then, whilst holding it down inside the cylinder, put the circlip on. So it's very, very difficult. It won't push straight in because the lip on the seal, obviously, it's stopping it going in. So I'm trying to push that lip in whilst holding the piston down. That's the easy bit. There it goes in. But now I've got to put the circlip on. The problem is the circlip goes on, you know, 1/8 of an inch down inside the cylinder. So I've got to push the piston down like 1/4 of an inch and then put the circlip on. So what I'm trying to do is I've put the circlip over this there so I can push the, there we go, I can push it down and get my circlip pliers and try and get the circlip in around this sort of stud that I'm using, simply to hold the piston down. Phew, blimey, now I've got it in. Whew. It's a pain in the backside. Okay, so circlip is in, which holds the whole piston assembly tight against that spring. It's a bit of a killer. Then we put the sort of primary seal on, I think it's called, which the idea is that will stop it, anything that leaks past that piston will stop it coming out. But really, if there's fluid getting past that piston, then yeah, the whole thing isn't great. There we go. So it's just like a secondary seal. I think they call it a primary seal, but it's actually, to my mind, it's a secondary seal. So then we're going to screw these back together. I'm going to put grease to this, and then we'll put the sort of outer seal on. We'll get some grease down there. Okay, and just slot this outer seal on which just goes over that strange nut, which has a groove in it for the seal. There we go. So that sits around, there's a groove in that nut, and then obviously the outer bit of the seal fits around the body. There we go. Which is nice because the other one, the other seal on that was pretty gone. Okay, and then I'm going to put a fair bit of grease on these threads because they were so corroded together. I couldn't get it apart, if you remember. Okay, and then we're going to screw this. That's the sort of plunger on the end there that's going to push on the piston inside this to make the actual master cylinder work. There we go. Screws in a bit nicer now. And there we go. So remember, it was two. Can you see that? It was 2 turns out. So that's the flat where the grommet goes. You see, there's a flat cut in this piston. I keep saying piston, cylinder. Okay, so it was to there, and then it was 1 full turn out, and then a second full turn out, and that's where it was, and it was working fine. It was just that it was leaking, so I'm going to put it back in that position. But that position is critical. Okay, if that is in the wrong position, then the master cylinder won't work. And just make sure that the groove, I can't see from the bloody camera, make sure that the groove lines up with the grub screw, so the grub screw goes into that slot, into that groove, and that stops the whole caboodle from then turning, which it has done. Phew, we're nearly there, blimey. Whew. Now we've got the sort of inlet pipe, and when I very first put this on, it was that inlet pipe that was blocked, and why I couldn't bleed it. I couldn't get the whole rear brake to bleed because simply this pipe was blocked. So I'm going to give that a good old clean out. Right, yeah, we're okay, we're good there. So we're going to put this back. Make sure I put it the right way around. It doesn't go that way, it goes that way. And we've got the round seal, but we're going to push it in to the oval housing. There we go. Okay, so that round seal is squished to become oval. And it goes on there. Then we've got the large nut and lock washer. Note that the seal kit didn't come with a new washer, a new locking tab washer. Okay, I'll put the locking tab on first. I'm not too worried that this isn't being replaced because it's not under tension. It's really just to stop it accidentally unscrewing. Then I'm going to put the O-ring on, and I'm putting that on second because it does kind of hold the tab, so it's just easier. And then I'm going to screw that down. Blimey. Right, we're nearly there. Just got to tighten that nut up, and I think we're done. Whew. Yeah. Now I'm not sure there's a torque on that, but we certainly don't want to over tighten it because it's only a sort of plastic fitting. But then I'm just going to bend that lock tab back over on the nut. There we go. Whew. Crikey. And there we have a working master cylinder at about the 3rd time of asking. Whew. So now what we've got to do is put it all back in the bike again. But don't forget old RM Percy, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. That, you know, you put something on you and it's not right, you have to take it off and so on, and you have to put it back on and take it off again. And each time you get faster and better at it. You know, the first time it takes you an hour to fit it, the second time 45 minutes, the third time half an hour. So every cloud has a silver lining. And also you get to understand the whole thing better, like we've had to take the whole thing apart and rebuild it. And so, you know, there's always think of it as a learning opportunity. If things don't go right and you've got to take the whole damn thing off again. It's not a setback, it's a learning opportunity. Right, so I've put all the master cylinder back on, the rear brake connected everything up, and bled it and everything. So no leaks, that's great. But, of course, it won't bleed properly. Now, before, I had an excellent rear brake, no problem at all, bled, no problem at all, but of course it leaked. So I had to take it all apart to mend the leak. But now I've mended the leak, put it all back together again, and now it won't bleed. Well, it will bleed, but I've not got a solid pedal. And there's air in the system somewhere, crikey. So I'm leaving it for a bit. I'm still got the bleed tube on. And I'll try again. I'll see if any air, you know, bleeds itself back out the system up through the master, up through the reservoir, which is where it has been coming a bit. A few bubbles, you know, coming up there. And then I'll try again, and then I'll put my hydraulic bleeder on that sucks the fluid through. If that doesn't work, and see how that goes. You know, I'll show you later. It's one that I use to pull the oil through as well. It's a pressure bleeder, and you put it on the bleed nipple, and it sucks the fluid through and hopefully sucks the air out at the same time, but we'll see. But that's just typical, you know. It was working perfectly, but it leaked. Now it doesn't leak, but it doesn't work perfectly. Ah, dear. Right, I'm going for a cup of tea.